Have balance. Dropping the reins is actually, what they need. They need to use their neck and sort of figure out their balance. They don't really go forward and they don't have any confidence. But a racehorse is confident enough to run off with you. And it knows balance with the rider on. So it expects to go into the bit and be connected. So I pick up the reins. I don't know about y'all. I drop the reins as soon as I can, but if that means the horse gets quick, I pick them back up again. And what ends up happening very quickly is contact. That part of the training scale, and it doesn't just mean contact in the bridle, it means the relationship with the legs and the bridle, the connection, right? That gets established quickly, but it gets established a little bit differently with a horse who's trained to go forward and a horse who's used to having some weight in the bridle. So what you're seeing with all three of these is they're in dressage saddles. So this is a little bit different than what you do on day one with a racehorse. We usually start out in a jumping saddle where you can be balanced over your feet. But depending on what the horse gives you, we give them a solid connection. And you see the exercise riders with their hands braced right in front of the withers, right on the horse's neck, sometimes with a bridge, the reins crossed over, you grab with both hands. Sometimes a half bridge where one reins crossed over. The idea of that is you're jamming your fist down into the horse's neck like you're punching him, and then he pulls against his own neck, right? It's solid. It's just a solid connection. It's like if you put him on a lunge line with side reins and little rubber donuts, so that there's kind of a solid thing, but it's a little flexible so it doesn't scare them too much, and it helps them shape themselves. So if you watch this horse canter over here with Michelle, it's a fairly collected canter, right? He didn't come off the racetrack doing that. You can see his hind legs coming up under his body. His pole is pretty close to the highest point. He's round, he's rhythmic, and his steps aren't too big. That takes some time to develop, with a racehorse in particular. Because what are they thought to do? Their canter is leaning, and the more they lean and the more they pull and the more the jockey or the exercise rider takes hold, that means go faster. And they use that bracing support, and they're pulling at the ground with their front legs almost as much as they're pushing with their hind legs. They're using every bit of strength that they've got, but it's leaning. It's like going down a hill. That's why it's hard to stop. So we want to train them to do dressage or to jump. We have to shift their balance more into their hindquarters, like that horse is in his canter in particular, but really all the gaits is the trot and canter, and that's part of the process. But that doesn't come right away.